There is no comparison between what happened in the Biden administration and what this administration is doing with the DOJ. And the fact that Bolton is next, this is shameful. We can't normalize this. It's not comparable. It's a really big deal. And I'm going to continue to talk about it because it scares the heck out of me. It now looks like John Bolton is going to be the next person to get indicted. And I say the next person, meaning the next Trump enemy to get indicted. And this one will be a different level, right? Because, and look, we'll see what they have on Bolton. We know that they investigated it in the previous administration. And that's always the test for me. People say, well, Dan, we don't know anything about, well, we do. We know that the previous administration investigated it. We know that in the Comey case, not only did the IG investigate it, not only did the Senate Bipartisan Committee investigate it, not only did the Bill Barr Department of Justice investigated it, but the Trump federal prosecutor investigated it. And that office didn't want to bring charges because they didn't feel they had a case. Same thing with the Letitia James case. But rather than follow the law, they just cleaned out house and got a partisan, Lindsey to just step in and say, it doesn't matter. I'm going to file charges anyway. And you continue to have people like, this is Lindsey Graham on NBC on Sunday. This is number 6. Always deflecting, right? There is no justification. There is no defense of what they're doing. There's no rational defense in my view. And this is what you hear again and again and again. And this is Lindsey Graham.
I think our Justice Department in the hands of Biden crossed every line there is to cross. I think within 3 days of announcing he was going to run for president in 2024, he did that in 2022.
But what about Trump?
He had 91 indictments.
Trump? What about?
Yeah. Now, I think the grand jury is going to take care of this, but you didn't care any about this. You didn't care that Letitia James made up charges that no one's ever faced.
But Senator Biden never publicly called for Trump to be indicted.
He had 90. Biden regretted that they didn't do it before the election. Jack Smith surveilled my phone records and 8 other senators. Jack Smith introduced his brief against Trump October the 24th before the 2024 election, violating every protocol just to politicize the election.
No, just the opposite. If the Biden DOJ had wanted to put Trump in a bad situation politically, they would have charged him in 2021. But Merrick Garland refused to do that, and I supported him in that. He didn't indict Donald Trump. He wasn't going to indict Donald Trump. And then in mid-2022, the documents case happens. They're hiding, lying about the documents. So Garland has no choice at this point but to hire a special prosecutor, to appoint a special prosecutor. And he appointed one for Biden. He appointed a Republican for Biden. And Jack Smith, this idea that Jack Smith is some Democrat is just nonsense. He's a tough prosecutor. He's the one who chose to indict. And now they're using it against Trump. Oh, they did it so late. Everyone knew at that point that every legal action against Trump was helping him politically. So if there had been a political assessment by Jack Smith and by the Biden team, there's no way they would have done anything close to the election. And as I've said before, you go back and you look at the Biden DOJ, and they investigated and indicted more Democrats than Republicans. There is no way that would happen in this DOJ. And part of the problem is that it's no longer just the DOJ saying, well, we brought a case, grand jury, etc. You now have the vice president of the United States saying that they're guilty. I mean, can you imagine if Kamala Harris had declared publicly that Trump was guilty of the crimes? I don't mean bad guy. I don't mean criticizing what happened, but literally saying he's guilty. Here's Vice President Vance. This is number 1. This is on NBC this weekend.
So I think if you look at the case, the fact that a far-left grand jury in a far-left area indicted Letitia James and James Comey, if you look at the fact that James Comey obviously lied under oath, Letitia James obviously committed mortgage fraud.
Obviously? It's not obvious at all. How do we know that? Because both of these things, in particular, the Comey, was investigated before. Letitia James was investigated by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Virginia, and they didn't feel they had enough evidence to prosecute. So this idea that obviously there is no comparison between what happened in the Biden administration and what this administration is doing with the DOJ. And the fact that Bolton is next, Bolton is not someone who investigated Trump. He's just someone who spoke out against him. This is shameful. We can't normalize this. We can't allow people to suggest that it's just the same as what happened before. It's not. It's not comparable. It's a really big deal. And I'm going to continue to talk about it because it scares the heck out of me.